Hi, it's Dr. Watson. I wanted to talk briefly to my brand new fourth grade band students about some of the symbols, the music symbols they're going to be seeing as they look into their book. They might notice that the music is written on these 5 lines, which we call the staff, right? So the staff, S-T-A-F-F. And the staff is where the music will be written on, but before I write any music in, I kind of wanted to talk about how the staff is usually divided into sections. So right now I'm dividing my staff into 3 sections. And a section of music is called a measure. So this song is divided into 3 sections, 3 measures, M-E-A-S-U-R-E-S, 3 measures. Now at the beginning of the staff, if you're a high instrument, you'll be seeing a treble clef. It looks like this. At the beginning of the staff, if you're a low instrument, you'll be seeing a bass clef, which I'm just going to write down here. Right? A bass clef looks like that. So whether you see a treble clef or a bass clef, doesn't matter, but you'll see a clef at the beginning. And then right after the clef, what you're going to see are some numbers. They're very important numbers. It's called a time signature. And those numbers tell you how many beats will be in a measure. So for instance, in the first songs we play this year, we're going to see a 4 over a 4. So our time signature is telling us the top number is the one that I really want you to remember. The top number will tell you how many beats are in a measure. So if it says 4, there will be 4 beats in a measure, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, end of the measure. New measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, end of the measure. New measure, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for instance, this little song, if you want to call it a song, this little piece of music has 3 sections, and each section has 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 4 beats in it, which means it's 12 beats long, but we don't usually count to 12, we just count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We count to 4 over and over again. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you is the notes that you'll be playing themselves will look like various shapes. So for instance, during the year, you'll be seeing shapes that look like this, other shapes that look like this. Right? These are all different rhythms. Some shapes look like this, some shapes will look like this. These are different types of notes you'll be seeing this year, and they have different lengths. They'll sound differently, right? But what we're going to start with is this one, the simplest one, and it's called a whole note. The reason it's called a whole note is because it lasts a whole measure. So if you see a whole note, play it for all 4 beats of the measure, like this. Ta. Let it last for 4 beats. Ta. Push the air. Tu. For 4 beats. So I put a whole note here, which means we're going to blow for 4 beats and sound out a note for all 4 beats here. And I'm going to skip a measure. And then in the last measure over here, I'm going to put another whole note. So this song has a whole note for the first measure. I didn't put anything for the second measure, and then I put a whole note for the third measure. Now in the second measure, I'm going to put a symbol which means to rest for the measure or to not play for 4 beats. And it looks like a rectangle that hangs off the 4th line. So if you see this symbol, just count to 4, but do not play. So right now, the song I've written goes like this. Ta, and then rest, just count 2, 3, 4, and then ta. All right, we're almost there. The only other thing I wanted to show you is that sometimes notes are in between lines, like here's a line, and here's a line, and I put the note in between the line, which we call a space. So this is an example of a space whole note. It's in the second space up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in the second space up. But I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to change my next whole note in the third measure of this song. I'm going to change it. So instead of it being in a space, let's put it right on the second line so that you can see that sometimes whole notes are on a line, and that's a different note. Now, whether you play clarinet or trumpet or alto sax or trombone, you're going to see some notes are in spaces like this one, and some notes are on lines like this. But it's the same shape, right? It's the same shape, which is just a circle, which means you blow for how many beats? For 4 beats, right? So if you see a circle, we're going to call that a whole note, and we want you to blow the air as you're producing a sound on your instrument for 4 beats. So again, this song would go like this: blow, then silent, rest, 3, 4, then blow. And now the song's over. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that when the song is over, there's usually kind of like the period at the end of a sentence, right? You get to the end of a sentence and you put a period. At the end of a song, we usually put a double bar line like this. So here's the second bar line. So the fact that I have 2 bar lines here is my clue that the song is over. Whereas at the end of this measure, I only have 1 bar line. And 4 beats later, at the end of this measure, I only have 1 bar line. All right, so we actually talked about a lot of things. Let's review. The 5 lines are called the what? The 5 lines are the music staff, okay? And then the symbol at the beginning of the staff is called the clef. Some of you will have a bass clef, but I have a treble clef here. The numbers that tell you how many beats are in a measure, those numbers are called the time signature. And then at the end of each measure, we have a bar line. Right? Here's a bar line, here's a bar line. At the end of the song, we have a double bar line. Here I have 3 sections: measure, measure, measure. So a measure is a section of a song, and notes can be either on a space like this note, or they can be on a line like this note. And those are whole notes because they're a plain circle. A plain circle means to blow for 4 beats, that's a whole note. And a whole rest is a rectangle that hangs below the 4th line, and that means to rest for 4 beats. Now that's an awful lot, but hopefully now you know how to read the music on the first page in your lesson book. This is Dr. Watson with some basic music notation. Good luck, my beginning band members, and let's hear you make some music this week.